Welcome welcome back to another video. It is Wednesday, August 5th, and we're going to be reviewing the price action starting on the 15-minute time frame. What I want to note is first the 15-minute TPD that we had on ES and NQ. When 10 a.m. opened, we had no wick. Completely dumped 10 a.m. It was a news candle, but there was still no wick to the upside. So that TPD at buy side liquidity, I'll show you which buy side liquidity too. At the new weekly opening gap. I mean, we have this draw higher that we didn't even tap into. I was using this because it was within the new week, that new week of the month. So that's the liquidity that I was using as my target, and it got hit. However, I did not trade the PO3 correctly. I did not trade the 30-minute PO3 correctly. I should have waited for an SMT. But because we've been running off of open, I decided to take the risk. I had one 30-minute PO3 trade. I was waiting for 10 a.m. after that, and then 10:30, which I ended up getting break even. So let's talk about it. First off, XAMD on the day. That's what I was expecting. We did have a bearish daily cycle with ES, NQ, and YM as well until opening market. So that 9:30 open is what created our move up higher, which meant we had no DC. No DC on the lows. We see relative lows on ES, on NQ, on YM. We had relative lows on all assets, so that's why I was just kind of conflicted. We had no higher time frame cracking correlation, no 90-minute either. So what did I do? I just was looking off our 1 minute structure, our 15-minute structure, 15-second structure. Sorry, and I want to pull up this 2-minute gap because this is what we were moving off of. These are the type of moves that we made in our previous 3 days in our bullish run. So tapped into CE at 32. 932. After that move up, we create an order block. This wick doesn't come down to CE of it. I'm looking on the 15-second. I see that we tapped into our 2-minute. Move up higher. We have balanced price range. Basically, this gap was technically not balanced on the 15-second, but we inversed it. And so because it was supporting above that, because this 15-second gap was tapped into, and we moved structure even higher from there. This bullish close was my sign on the 15-second to enter, and my stop loss was at this low. You can see my exit was right there. So it was 20 points or closer to, oh, there it is. Yeah, so 20 points is what I was risking. So it was a negative $220, 230 for the day because of slippage. So that was my entry. My target would have obviously been higher. I wanted to get 100 points out of this, but I probably would have got trailed or stopped out, to be honest, if I would have held this longer, because on the 1 minute, we were very, very rangy for the opening 30-minute PO3, which ended right here with our range already sweeping discount sell side in the 30-minute PO3. So 10 a.m. really, I did not know what it was going to do. Because we swept this, I need to take off the magnet. Because we swept this in our OTE, I did not know where 10 a.m. was going to continue. If we're going to be bullish, then it's going to use this gap and maybe resweep this again. And that's what it did. But after that, we ended up getting that 15-minute TPD that I mentioned. And then 5-minute structure just slowly started breaking on ES. So we were breaking. Oh my God. Okay, we're back. We're breaking down like what? It was a bit later. So in our expansion quarter from 8:10 to 8:30 is what I was waiting for because it's because 10:30 open would continue our direction, which it did, but I got stopped out right here. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I'm just saying the analysis was sloppy. We had not too many cracking correlations. I mean, this microcycle with YM was it. We doubled up on this as well, and I thought that was going to move us lower. And then we had our, let's take off these. We had our sweep right here, SMT with ES, which was this low. So the regular trading hours SMT was really the SMT for entry. I went over this entry on Instagram. 5-minute for value gap tapped into. We did. That was our highest time frame gap. That was the only 5 minute gap that we actually tapped into. I thought it was going to be the 2 minute because we have been very, very bullish, but 5 minute gap. That's not exactly lined up, but it's close. And then off that, we go to the 15 second because the 1 minute is just too volatile. We see inverse this fair value gap, come down in. We have our first presented, and we're now trading in the quadrants of the first presented. If we like really take out the quadrants, then I can just take out the octants too. Then 0.25, supported above it, continued higher. Limit would be at that lower portion. And then stop, you would have it where the sweep was. Right, so where the SMT sweep is always a safe stop. If you go to the 5 second, we can see balanced price range on there. Takes a minute to load sometimes. Come on. All right, let's try again. 5 second chart. Oh no, okay, here it is. On the 5 second chart, we do have balanced price range all the way until this low. Ideally, stop loss could be at CE right there, 31 points if you wanted to kind of get in at that lower portion if you wanted to limit in, but I probably would have bought in around 0.25 to 0.375 to be honest, right around here. And then stop loss would be CE of that 5 minute because we're creating actual order block structure, which is just candle bodies. We're creating candle bodies that are moving higher and we're not tapping back into these after creating expansion leg is what I saw. Plus we had our 15 minute gap here supporting. So I thought stop under or close to that is where I want to be for a safe entry and stop loss. Take profit for the 100 points that I was looking for was going to be that near liquidity, which we didn't even tap to that one higher, which is surprising because that was our monthly cycle SMT. We just tapped the near side in the month of June, I want to say. Yeah, I think it was June because I would have had it. Yeah. No, no, no. Okay, I have to think it was definitely in between the month of July then. So that was the trade I ended up taking. If you were to exit based on a trail out, how I would go about this is if we are approaching 10 a.m., I would probably take a 1-to-1. In all honesty, I would have taken a 1-to-1. After this displacement lower, I probably would have exited out, got stopped out somewhere around here. So it was a very rangy day, very hard to trade. So coming down to our 10:30 entry, the analysis showed that 15-minute CISD, I knew we were going to drop, and we're probably going to tomorrow as well. So 15-minute CISD happened right here. That is exactly our 10:30 price. Because that is exactly our 10:30 price, I do not think we're going to trade above 10:30. But I ended up limiting my risk because I didn't want the chance that it was going to range because our 5 minute was showing that we were just kind of continuing off of the order blocks and wicks. We're like retrading into these wicks. I don't even have to, I'll put the, I didn't think that we were going to come above there. That's our 5 minute wick. This is where I had my stop high, like right above here. So I didn't think we were going to tap into that before we hit our low of day because we hit high of day and now we're going to low of day. That's what I assumed. 15-minute CISD, 10:30 price, not just the opening price, but the actual candle is what was rejected off of. And the 2 minute structure, which we're trading into, right? We're trading a 2 minute gap here, 2 minute gap there. The 3 minute, there is no gaps really that are continuous. So the 2 minute structure is what we're closing inside of, right? We have this 2 minute gap there that we close inside of. So 2 minute is what I saw as the order flow. That being said, on ES 10:30, right here, we have this 2 minute gap. This 2 minute gap right here after 10:30 is exactly why I thought we were going to dump lower immediately. Happened not to be the case. We were just ranging and waiting for another true microcycle open. So true microcycle open, you see is right here. We ended up going in that same minute down to our draw liquidity and then create an SMT in our, not even a cycle. It was just an internal SMT that ended up moving us down during the manipulation of our microcycle. And if this will only load, then I can put it on. I hate when this doesn't load sometimes. And this is YM. Okay. Well, that is a review of the price action. I think we are going lower tomorrow because we created in the first 3 days our high. I think we're gonna have to retrace for the next 2 days, which is our weekly halving theory. That's what we talked about. Same thing with the 15-minute CISD. That is pretty significant. Looking at the 90-minute, we also broke structure to the downside. So I'm expecting a more of a retrace, probably to this daily gap. And True Week Open would be a bit of a stretch, but maybe it happens on Friday, something like that. That is it for the analysis. And actually, I need to show the entry on the 1030 price. Why is my AMDX cycles not opening? Well, we can see on ES, but ES doesn't really help out that much. So entry, 1030 price. I am wanting us to move lower from there. We have that 2-minute gap. True nanocycle opened right here. And because that true nanocycle opened, I thought that this was our safe stop, our 90-minute cycle, or our 90-minute candle, sorry, and our 4-hour candle, which I'll probably have to show a second one because it's past 12. But that 90-minute candle before our second 90-minute candle is when we are getting our market maker reversal to probably take out post 10 a.m. high is what I usually say, which would be post 10 a.m. high. I mean, that would be all the way up here, technically, or rebalance the range. One of the two. If we're going down more, because I think the 15-minute CISD is going to hold, which is 1030 price right here. So I don't think we're going to go too high. But looking at the entry, 15-second, right here, entered in on this. The gap right here was enough for me to enter in off of, and I wanted to get in with the stop at this high. 1030 CE, a little bit above there. We trade up into it. True nanocycle opened, and so what I'm expecting is us to just flush. And what I assumed is in our microcycles that this quarter from 1030 to 1053 would be expansion, but it just looked like accumulation to me. This all looks like accumulation to me. So I would expect low resistance. That's why I'd stops break even, because right here, if I just open up that 5-minute CE, I don't like the charts sometimes. 5-minute CE of the wick, because I was just reading wicks here. That is not the 5-minute CE. Huh, I guess it is. Okay. Well, 5-minute CE on the 15-second, I think it looked, yeah, okay. This is what I was looking at. 15-second, we were not breaking above there. I didn't think that we were going to. I thought this was going to continue lower, right? If I'm assuming expansion because we're so close to the drawn liquidity for the day, then this would be a great trade. Plus holding it to the new daily opening gap, 10 more points, why not? It's also the drawn liquidity because I'm assuming we're going lower. After this right here, I was stop break even. See that high right there? This high that slightly tapped into the only order block that we are respecting, that was my stop loss, and it was stop break even because that was my entry. I would have had it even a little higher if my stop was lower, but that's where my stop was. So I got tagged out there, and I didn't understand this because I don't know why we would retrace here just to create an SMT, because even if we go to the 5-second, we've already rebalanced price. I mean, true nanocycle opened right here, like I mentioned. Then we have this minor gap that already got tapped into after my entry, but still, we already have the reasons to move lower. And I guess price is just stalling now because look at this. There's no really clear distinction between accumulation, manipulation, distribution, expansion, except for the time of day and which one is happening first based on the first manipulation. So difficult day to trade. Definitely, I should have waited. Really, I should have waited because since we could have gone either long or short, waiting for this right here, this 5-minute tap, is a perfect entry for a 30-minute PO3. We have our target, we're in at the right time, and the cycles for this, I need this to show up because I have my cycles. There we go. We have AMDX. Accumulation, manipulate. Where's our manipulation? Manipulation. Well, what I assumed was manipulation was this SMT. Regular trading hours SMT between right here on ES. So this SMT was really all I needed for price to move higher. That SMT. For a 30-minute PO3, that's all we need. If we need one SMT, it doesn't have to be a true it doesn't need to be a true microcycle SMT. It doesn't need to be between these quarters of the microcycle. If we have a regular trading hours SMT and structures aligning, especially if we have 5-minute, 1-minute, 15-second time frame alignment, then our PO3 has an objective and you're going to be in the best trade for the PO3 because, like I said, I was convinced that the wick was confirmed until we created this microcycle with YM above here in the 30-minute PO3. Then I was like, okay, we're probably going to move lower from there. It's really not wanting to break through. But until then, this was the SMT that we had, clear as day. And 5-minute gap, tapped into that 15-second structure. We're in the first presented, and even at CE, the first presented would be great entry with the stop below right here on this swing low. That is still a very low stop. That would be in the 30-point range. Targeting also could be higher, but like if you would have targeted any higher than this liquidity, then you would have got stopped out, guaranteed. It just, you needed a room to hold, and you just wouldn't be able to do so in this kind of price action. So 2 trades, all it took, 1 loss, 1 break even, and I'm just gonna wait and see what happens. Like I said, I think we're moving lower. 15-second CISD is a great confirmation that we're gonna get some big movement lower if we're not gonna break probably above, I want to say OTE, but really even that would be kind of high. I think that in this order block, this one block is where we're going to stay in between before we move lower. Let's see if ES has 2 actually. We have 2. We have a high and a low right here, which is CE of our sweep. I mean, this is all-time high sweep. This is like our all-time high before New York Open, because ES is trading at all-time highs already. I mean, look how far we are above previous all-time high from this year. So we'll wait and see what happens. That being said, I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.